Fishing for tuna at sea is an activity that requires high techniques, extensive experience and careful preparation of both equipment and people. Before going to sea, fishermen must fully prepare specialized equipment such as offshore fishing boats, GPS positioning systems, fish finders, industrial fishing rods and especially suitable baits. Tuna often live in remote seas, where there are great depths and abundant food sources. So determining the location of tuna schools is an extremely important first step. When a school of fish is detected, fishermen will use a fishing rod or hand line with large fishing lines combined with sharp hooks and fresh bait to attract fish. The most popular fishing methods are trolling and long line, of which long line is the most effective method because it can catch many fish at the same time on a system of many hooks. In addition, some ships also use the same method to catch the entire school of tuna when they surface near the water surface. The process of pulling fish onto the boat requires skill and strength because tuna are very strong, often struggling violently when hooked. After being caught, the fish will be immediately preserved in a cold storage to keep them fresh, serving domestic consumption or export. Tuna fishing not only brings high economic value but also contributes to improving the lives of coastal fishermen. However, it also requires reasonable management of aquatic resources to ensure sustainable development and protect the marine ecosystem. In addition to technical requirements, tuna fishing also depends a lot on weather factors and the fisherman's experience at sea. Each trip can last from a few days to a few weeks, even a month. So it requires patience, perseverance and a high spirit of solidarity throughout the journey. Long-time sailors often rely on their experience observing the color of the seawater. The direction of ocean currents and the activities of seabirds to judge the location of tuna schools. In addition, they must also regularly update weather forecasts to avoid storms or tropical depressions that can endanger life and property. During the fishing trip, the vessels must maintain contact with the mainland via radio or satellite systems to ensure safety and continuous information updates. Each tuna after being brought onto the vessel will be classified, assessed for quality and preliminarily processed on the spot to maintain the highest commercial value. For bluefin tuna, the most valuable type on the market, the post-harvest processing process is even more strictly focused. From bloodletting, rapid cooling to storage in separate ice boxes, the entire process of catching, preserving and transporting tuna must comply with strict food hygiene and safety standards. Especially when exporting to demanding markets such as Japan, the US or Europe. Thanks to investment in technology and improved skills, many coastal localities in Vietnam such as Phu Yen, Binh Dinh, Cang Hoa have become major tuna fishing centers, contributing significantly to the country's seafood export turnover. However, in parallel with the development of the tuna industry, authorities and fishermen also need to raise awareness of protecting marine resources, comply with international regulations and not engage in destructive fishing to maintain this valuable traditional profession for future generations, not only stopping at catching. After being brought ashore, Tuna also goes through many elaborate processing stages to serve domestic and export needs. Modern seafood processing facilities will receive fish, classify them by size and quality, then process them using advanced technologies such as deep freezing. Vacuuming, canning or filleting according to international standards. Processed tuna products can be used to make sashimi, sushi, tuna steak or canned for export to major markets. With high economic value, tuna is not only considered the green gold of the ocean but also a stable source of income for thousands of coastal fishing households. Many localities also organize tuna fishing teams in the form of association, creating conditions for fishermen to share equipment, techniques and support product consumption, thereby helping to minimize risks and increase economic efficiency. In addition, the state and international organizations also regularly support fishermen through training programs, providing steel-hulled fishing vessels, modern positioning equipment and preferential loans to modernize the fishing industry. However, in the context of climate change and declining fish resources due to overexploitation, the development of tuna fishing needs to go hand in hand with sustainable management solutions. This includes rational planning of fishing areas, limiting fishing during the spawning season, applying environmentally friendly fishing tools and enhancing international cooperation in monitoring and protecting tuna resources. Only when there is a balance between exploitation and conservation can tuna fishing develop sustainably, making a solid contribution to Vietnam's marine economy in the present and future. In addition to the efforts of fishermen and the government, the role of science and technology in tuna fishing is becoming increasingly important. Many fisheries research institutes and universities have carried out projects on applying technology to forecasting fishing grounds, improving fishing gear and increasing fishing efficiency. The use of multi-beam fish finders, satellite positioning systems and modern communication equipment helps fishermen shorten search time, save fuel and minimize risks at sea. In addition, advanced preservation technologies such as superfast freezing at -60 degrees Celsius are being gradually put into use, helping to maintain the quality of tuna as if it had just been caught, meeting the strict requirements of the international market. In the trend of integration and development, many Vietnamese enterprises have boldly invested in the processing sector, building the Vietnamese tuna brand on the world map. However, in order for Vietnamese tuna to compete with countries with strong fisheries development such as Japan, Korea or Spain, in addition to the quality factor, special attention must be paid to building a sustainable value chain from fishing, preservation, processing to consumption. This requires close coordination between fishermen, businesses, the state and research and training organizations. In addition, raising public awareness of protecting the marine environment and aquatic resources is also a vital factor. A blue, clean, resource-rich ocean is the foundation for tuna fishing and other marine-related industries to develop stably and sustainably. Thus, Tuna fishing is not simply a way of making a living but also part of the strategy for developing the marine economy, demonstrating the deep connection between people and the ocean, between tradition and modernity, between exploitation and protection of nature. In addition, the cultural and spiritual life of fishermen also contributes significantly to maintaining and developing the tuna fishing industry at sea. For many coastal communities, the fishing industry is not only a livelihood but also an indispensable part of the local cultural identity. Folk tales, fishing festivals, sea worship customs or rituals before each trip at sea all express the fisherman's faith and gratitude towards the sea and the wish for a bountiful fishing season and a safe return. Each long tuna fishing trip is an arduous journey, where fishermen have to face waves, scorching sun, cold rain and sleepless nights in the middle of the vast ocean. However, it is in these circumstances that their camaraderie, courage and extraordinary determination are tempered and most clearly demonstrated. Children growing up in fishing villages are often accustomed to the drifting life from a young age, following the lights of fishing boats from afar and dreaming of one day going out to sea with their fathers and uncles to catch tuna. Although many new occupations have emerged, the maritime profession, especially tuna fishing, still holds an important place in the hearts of coastal people. It is this attachment that has contributed to creating generations of experienced fishermen. Ready to pass on their techniques and love of the sea to the younger generation. In the future, with the support of national policies on marine economic development, along with the spirit of overcoming difficulties and loving the profession of fisherman, tuna fishing will certainly continue to grow, not only bringing economic benefits but also preserving and promoting the proud traditional values of the Vietnamese people on the path of international integration. To move towards comprehensive and sustainable development, the current tuna fishing industry cannot be separated from the trend of green transformation and circular economy at sea. This requires fishermen and seafood businesses to change their mindset from exploiting resources to exploiting responsibly, while applying solutions to minimize negative impacts on the marine environment. A number of new models are being piloted, such as fishing combined with experiential tourism, raising tuna in cages in clean seas, or producing byproducts from tuna heads, bones, and fins to make the most of resources and minimize waste. Along with that, participating in international fisheries organizations, such as the Western and Central Pacific Tuna Commission, WCPFC, not only helps Vietnam improve its position in the global tuna industry but also forces stakeholders to comply with regulations on quotas, fishing areas, and permitted fish sizes, etc. This aims to balance short-term economic benefits and the long-term stability of the marine ecosystem. Moreover, education and training of high-quality human resources is also a key factor. The organization of classes on safe seafaring skills, fish preservation after catching, or modern vessel management courses are being expanded, aiming to improve professional qualifications and the ability to cope with increasingly severe weather fluctuations. In the context of globalization, equipping fishermen with the ability to access international market information, understand export standards and clean production techniques is extremely necessary to enhance the value of Vietnamese tuna brands. In general, the journey of catching tuna at sea is not only a simple way of making a living but also part of the big picture of the National Marine Economic Development Strategy. From each ship cutting through the waves to modern processing facilities on land, all are contributing to affirming the position of Vietnamese seafood in the international arena. And only when we know how to exploit it scientifically and sustainably, combining tradition and modernity, man and nature, can tuna, a fish symbolizing the strength and prosperity of the ocean, truly become a valuable resource serving the prosperous and long-term development of the country in the future. With the continuous development of science and technology and digital technology, tuna fishing in Vietnam will have many opportunities to grow stronger if it knows how to take advantage of the right opportunities and have a reasonable strategic orientation. One of the important steps forward is the application of digital technology to the management and monitoring of fishing activities. The electronic logbook system, e-logbook, monitoring fishing vessel journeys via satellite, VMS, not only helps to clarify the origin of aquatic products but is also an effective tool to manage output, fishing areas and comply with international commitments on the conservation of tuna resources. In addition, the emergence of e-commerce platforms is also opening up new market access opportunities for tuna products, helping fishermen and businesses reach consumers quickly, without going through too many intermediaries, thereby increasing income and enhancing brand value. In addition, the green consumption trend and the demand for clear traceability from international consumers also create pressure forcing the Vietnamese tuna industry to change towards transparency, safety and environmental friendliness. The establishment and development of international certifications such as MSC, Marine Stewardship Council, a certification of sustainable fisheries, is no longer an option but has become a necessary condition if Vietnamese tuna wants to have a firm foothold in high-end markets. Enterprises, cooperatives and fishermen who are pioneers in achieving these certifications will have a huge advantage in international competition. More importantly, for tuna fishing to truly develop in the long term, it is indispensable to have the support of effective directional and supportive state policies. Policies on crew insurance, support for fishermen in case of natural disasters. Credit incentives for building and upgrading fishing vessels. Investment in fishing port infrastructure and fishing logistics systems will be a solid foundation for people to confidently go offshore. At the same time, the interdisciplinary coordination between fisheries, education, science and technology and maritime diplomacy will also create an overall strength for the tuna industry in particular and the seafood industry in general of Vietnam to develop sustainably and integrate deeply with the world. In short, tuna fishing at sea is not only a challenging job for fishermen but also an important link in the National Marine Economic Strategy. It is a story about labor, culture, technology and the aspiration of an entire nation to reach out to the sea. And if we know how to harmoniously combine tradition and modernity, exploitation and conservation, tuna, a precious gift from the ocean, will continue to be a source of pride and a symbol of the strong vitality of the Vietnamese people on the high seas. With great potential and positive developments in recent times, the tuna fishing industry can completely become an important pillar of Vietnam's marine economy if it continues to receive proper investment. In the context of the country aiming to become a strong maritime nation, rich from the sea, tuna fishing plays a role not only economically but also strategically in affirming sovereignty, sustainably developing sea and island areas and improving the lives of coastal people. In particular, the coastal provinces of the central region, where there is a long tradition of tuna fishing, need to be planned into specialized fishing, processing and exporting centers. The formation of fishing clusters, connecting fishing vessels, fishing ports, processing facilities, consumption markets will create a complete value chain. Helping to improve competitiveness and attract investment in the industry. At the same time, traditional fishing villages can be developed in parallel with community tourism associated with tuna fishing experiences, thereby promoting local culture and creating more livelihoods for people. Not only that, tuna is also a product that represents the culinary identity of Vietnamese people in the international market. Dishes made from ocean tuna such as sashimi, grilled tuna, braised tuna with pineapple, tuna vermicelli,